Jack Del Rio, Washington, I mentioned him a little bit earlier, that the Washington Post covered and carried stories suggesting that Jack Del Rio's opinion on January 6th was the equivalent in terms of interest of an attempted assassination of a Supreme Court justice. Jack Del Rio came out and talked about January 6th and raised a question that I think the majority of Americans are fine being raised. He asked the question, hey, how come we're having an 18-month investigation into one riot in particular on January 6th, but we've never really had any examination at all on the months of riots that took place all over this country? And Jack Del Rio later had to come out and apologize for what he said and the way it was covered. But the message that was sent is very clear here. And I've been arguing this for a long time, and I get proven right time after time after time. What happens in sports is if you step outside of the left-wing agenda, if you dare to think for yourself and ask a question like Jack Del Rio just did, heck, if you dare to think like the Tampa Bay Rays players do and say, hey, I don't really want to wear a pride flag on my shirt, then you get overwhelmingly attacked. Until you're forced to apologize, they want to send a message to everyone in sports about what is permitted and what is not permitted to say. You can endorse far left-wing radical politics and you get praised by the sports media. You come out and say America's an awful racist country, the worst place ever, sports media cheers you. You say you're not going to visit the White House, you say you're not going to stand for the national anthem, you're a hero. You ask a simple question like Jack Del Rio did, hey, how come we haven't had a hearing into the hundreds of riots that took place all summer long that caused billions of dollars in damages, that cost many lives, that led to a ton of injuries for police officers? Why don't we know who facilitated that? Why don't we know how that came to occur? And you treat it equivalently, which is fair, in my opinion, with the riot that happened on January 6th. You heard me say earlier, all rioters should be treated evenly and equally under the law, regardless of what their motivation was. When you do what Jack Del Rio did, people come after you in big numbers. And they try to shut you down because you aren't allowed to ask basic questions like Jack Del Rio did. So I give credit to Jack Del Rio for what he said before he apologized, because right now he's asking questions that legitimately deserve to be answered and deserve to be asked at minimum. He did absolutely nothing wrong at all. Okay? So that is what I would say about Jack Del Rio. We need more people like Jack Del Rio, except we need them to stand behind what they say instead of apologizing in the face of a mob that doesn't have any interest in actually seeing you apologize. All they want you to do is bow down before them and kiss the ring of their particular opinions.